Directing is something I really only found out at uni, and I fell in love with it. It is definitely one of the paths I'm considering to go into in the future now, besides performing, and maybe composing. If you don't know me yet, hi, I'm Jojo. I'm a third-year musical theatre student at Hedge University. And one thing I always really liked about my course is the fact that we learn just as much about producing musical theatre as performing in it. That gave me a chance to explore new things, like, for example, directing. So in today's video, I want to tell you about who is a theatre director, what are different approaches they might have, what are different types of directors, and what I've learned so far. Before I get on with the video though, I want to make a very important disclaimer. I am not a professional director. I'm still a student and I do not have the qualification to teach you about directing. But I already have some smaller experiences and I'm also having a directing module this year at university. So I want to kind of talk about my own experiences. There's a common misconception that a director is just someone who blocks the scenes, but there's way more to that. I like to think about it in two ways. First of all, a director creates a vision or brings a text on stage or however you want to call it. And the second way is production and organization. Every production is going to be different because you might have a stage manager or a company manager to help you with those things, but a director is a person who oversees the whole production and leads the whole cast and crew towards this collective goal of putting this show on stage and bringing it to the audiences. And after all, a director is responsible for the whole show. You can think of a director as a CEO of a company or a coach in a sports team, but I don't really like those analogies and I will explain why later. There's many different types of directors within theatre, so just to name a few. First we have a director. Let's call him a general director just to make it a bit clear in this video. It is basically the person we're talking about in this video. You know, that person to kind of oversee the whole production. There's also an artistic director, and that's kind of like a director who works for a whole theatre company rather than for a specific production. According to Berklee College of Music, it is someone who creates an artistic identity or a brand for a non-profit organization. There's also a casting director who is in charge of, surprise, casting. And in musical theatre you will also have a musical director. No, it's not a person who is just directing musicals. It is a person who is in charge of music. It's someone who teaches the song, who brings a story and emotion to this music, leads the band, fills the gaps, basically creates a musical whole. And there's so much into it, I could make another video about it. So if you want it, let me know. There is no one way to directing. There's probably as many directing ways as directors itself. But there is a specific distinction I want to focus on here. The first director is someone who you would call a director by number. It's the kind of person that just tells you where to stand and what to do. This doesn't have to mean that they are not collaborating at all, but definitely this kind of work is more just bringing their vision onto the stage rather than a collective one. The other approach is based more on collaboration and coaching. This is the kind of director who's gonna workshop different things and try different ideas, work with the whole group. He coaches them, he suggests things, he asks questions, he tries to lead them forward into some sort of a good idea.
Whatever, then we just go get the instrument which in itself.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be another thing to do. So think about all those things that, like, how would you prepare for a back rehearsal? And maybe that's going to be a good idea to kind of. And in this scenario, a director might not even actually block the scenes because it might just come out itself from all those workshopping. Now, I'm not trying to tell you which one is better or worse, and I'm definitely not telling you which one you should take on, because different things work for different people. But me personally, I'm leaning more into the second one. So now you understand why I don't really like the CEO or coach in a sport kind of analogy. Just because I don't want to put a director on like the top. I think a director is just as much a team member as a leader. Last year I had my first experience with directing. As part of one of our modules we had to recreate an excerpt from a musical. I knew by then that I wanted to experience some of the directing. I had some minor experiences before uni, but this was the first real one. My group accepted me as a director and we started working on the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, it's all right, Janet. I'm here. There's nothing to worry about.
And I have to admit, I really enjoyed this project. Everything was going so smooth and a role of director really felt like a right one. And by then I already had some idea of directing. I knew it's not just blocking the scenes. Besides, I really like organization, so that part was easy as well. It all seemed so easy. I'm not gonna lie, looking back on it, I'm really proud of what we achieved, and I had some chats with friends from my group and they also said they really enjoyed working with me. Everything was going right. Or was it? Looking back on the process now, I do think I was quite of a director by number, and even though I was trying to be collaborative, and I think I was, it still feels very fixed. Like, I was very open to my cast ideas, I did take on a few of them, but realistically, after all, I was always coming to rehearsal with a fixed idea of a scene and I would just tell them what to do. And maybe it worked at the time, but I know now that that's not really the direction I want to go into. Direction. Yeah. On the other hand, I really can't complain on the organization point of view. I know that this is something I really want to keep. So this year, taking into account all of those experiences and criticism on my last year's work, I am trying to improve. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm having a directing module this semester, and if you're following me on my acting Instagram, you know what's cooking. I am currently directing an excerpt from Bandstand musical, and it's a hell of a process. Hell in a sense of the amount of work, because I am actually having so much fun with it. It's tough to explain the whole process of this show, so I'm gonna prepare a separate video about this whole project once it's finished. But I wanted to talk about it in comparison to my last year's work. This year, instead of coming to the rehearsals with a fixed idea for a scene, I get my cast and I approach them in a more coaching level. So first we look into some sort of exercises or research into practitioners, those things that could kind of help us around what we're trying to achieve in a specific scene. And then as we work through the material, I ask them different things, I suggest different ideas of what to think about. Realistically, I didn't even have to specifically block any of the scenes, although the work is done. I just didn't have to actually tell them what to do because they actually did it themselves. My group really falls into this collaborative idea and brings a lot of ideas, and I sometimes don't know how to do something myself, so having the whole cast is actually so helpful. It's not like the whole weight is on my back. I can always come to them, I can always ask them to help me and give me their ideas. Like the other week, for example, we did exercises based on Dalcrows, then we did tattoos, then I made them improvise the scene without the actual lines of it, without the script. All of that inspired on different theatrical approaches that I've researched into, because obviously we have to be academically accurate as well. But as much as that might seem a little bit slower, I can feel that it is way more influential both for me and for my actors. So here it is, and will I ever become a professional director? I don't know. Well, yes, hopefully. And you can stick around and see if that happens by subscribing to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know if you like this more theatre-based topic. Follow my YouTube and acting Instagrams for more lifestyle and theatre content and updates on Bandstand project. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. Bye!